There has been an honest relationship between the band and its supporters for 45 years, with 30 million admirers who have attended 100 million albums. Gene Simmons has always had a huge personality. The Kiss frontman made a name for himself by being fearless, loud, and unavoidable, from his fire-breathing on stage to his jaw-dropping interviews. However, scandal always accompanies such fame. He has been referred to as a walking headline machine, a businessman, and a rock legend. And now a large, new thing has just dropped. Fans are stunned, and it's already making waves on the internet. Is it a daring action, another outrageous comment, or something more profound? Come along as we reflect on Gene Simmons' incredible journey and recent public offerings. Born into hardship. On August 25, 1949, Gene Simmons was born in Haifa, Israel, under the name Chaim. His parents had survived the horrific wartime conditions as Jewish refugees from Hungary. His mother, Flora Kovacs, was born in Jan, a tiny Hungarian town. She was then referred to as Florence Klein and finally Florence Lebowski. She was transported to Nazi prison camps in 1944, and she was just freed from one in Austria in May 1945. She and her brother Larry were the only members of her family to survive the Holocaust. Ferenc Witz, Gene's father, worked as a carpenter. In 1946, he wed Florence, and the following year, they relocated to Israel. Gene was born and raised in the village of Tirat Carmel. His family was religiously and culturally Jewish. It was a difficult life. Later, Gene would claim that they were extremely impoverished and had to survive on rationed milk and bread. In order to earn some cash, he and a companion began selling wild fruit on the side of the road when he was 7 years old. His parents divorced when he was 8 years old. His mother left their previous life behind and brought him to America. They relocated to New York City's Queens. His father had 3 girls and 1 son while remaining in Israel. Chaim adopted the name Gene Klein while he was in New York, utilizing the last name of his mother. He briefly attended a religious Jewish school before switching to a mainstream one. He completed his high school education at Newtown High. He later attended Richmond College in Staten Island after attending Sullivan County Community College. Although he earned his degree in education in 1970, he would not become famous as a teacher. There was something far louder waiting. Before becoming the well-known musician, Gene Simmons worked as a teacher and a rock dreamer to make ends meet. In New York City, he played a variety of roles. He was hired as an editor's assistant at Vogue, one of the leading fashion publications in the world, because of his quick typing. He even spent 6 months teaching 6th grade on Manhattan's Upper West Side after that. His heart was bent on something else, though, notwithstanding these occupations. Music. He picked the stage name Gene Simmons in honor of Jumpin' Gene Simmons, a rockabilly performer. However, he once claimed that actress Gene Simmons was the source of his name. In honor of one of her movies, he even gave a Kiss song the title Great Expectations. Gene spent hours playing the guitar while she worked. Being great was his goal. When he saw the Beatles play on the Ed Sullivan program, his passion for music only deepened. He was astounded. "If it weren't for the Beatles, I wouldn't be doing what I do now," he said. For him, everything changed when he met the long-haired boys who played tremendous music. Gene joined his first band, Lynx, which subsequently changed its name to the Missing Lynx, when he was barely 15 years old. He eventually departed and formed the Long Island Sounds, a new band. Alan Stewart Graff, who encouraged Gene to get his first bass guitar, and Steve Coronel, who would later accompany him in music, were part of this ensemble. Gene listened when Alan informed him the band needed a bassist. That group changed its name to the Love Bag later in 1967. Gene was more than just a musician. To supplement his income, he took on odd jobs and even sold worn comic books. He was doing everything in his power to pursue his dream of becoming a musician. Kissed by the bands before. Gene attended Sullivan County Community College in Loxhell, Drake, New York, from 1968 to 1970. However, he continued to play music and create bands while in college. He became a member of Bullfrog Beer, a new band. Lita, one of the songs they recorded at home, would subsequently appear in a Kissbox compilation. Despite significant member changes, that band continued to perform until 1970. At this point, Gene got back in touch with Steve Coronel and Brooke Ostrander, a new member. In 1969, the 3 of them were members of a band named Coffee. They all agreed to start a new rock band. They renamed it Wicked Luster after initially naming it Rainbow. Stanley Eisen, another significant member, joined them, who would go on to be called Paul Stanley. This new band put in a lot of effort and even recorded an entire album, but something didn't feel quite right. The band's appearance and sound didn't appeal to Gene and Paul. When their attempts to dismiss the other members failed, they both departed. They likewise renounced their Epic Records record deal, but they had a different objective. Their goal was to establish the quintessential rock band, one with a strong image, a wild appearance, and a loud sound. Kiss's foundation was about to be laid. The road to fame and Kiss. Kiss was born in 1973. Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons were prepared to advance the situation. Through an advertisement, they were able to find a drummer they required. They were joined by George Peter John Crespula, who played in bars in Brooklyn and later became known as Peter Criss. In addition, Gene and Peter briefly collaborated with Chelsea, Peter's former band, on an album. The album never came out. Then another significant event occurred. To find a lead guitarist, they posted an ad. Paul Fraley, who would subsequently be known as Ace Frehley, joined the band in this way. The lineup for Kiss was full now. Kiss, their debut album, came out in 1974. Gene Simmons became the face of their enormous goods business, while Paul Stanley played the lead in their performances on stage. Black Bolt, a figure from comic books, served as the inspiration for Gene's makeup, often known as the Demon. However, Kiss began to lose some of their notoriety by 1983, so they took a risk. They took off their cosmetics. Although fans were taken aback, the move was successful. The 1990s saw a resurgence in the band's popularity. Then came some significant changes. Peter Criss, the band's drummer, was voted out. Paul Charles Caravello, who performed under the stage name Eric Carr, took his place. From 1980 till his passing in 1991, Eric was a member of the band. The band began holding fan conventions in 1995. Fans requested a reunion of the original members because these events were so well-liked. That was the basis for the 1996 to 1997 live, international tour, which was a great success. Kiss's new album, Psycho Circus, came out in 1998. However, the founding members soon parted ways once more. Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer took Ace Frehley's place, who had previously performed with Kiss, returned to replace Peter Criss. Despite changing members, the band's influence remained constant. On the large and small screens, Gene Simmons. In addition to performing with Kiss, Gene Simmons has years of experience in front of the camera. Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, a made-for-TV film, was his debut big-screen appearance in 1978. A few years later, in 1981, he tried out for a series called Grotus, which was created by Marcy Carsey, and was given the opportunity to have his own television program by ABC. Declined the offer. He claimed that the salary was insufficient and unrelated to what he was already receiving from Kiss. Gene didn't stop there, either. He made an appearance in the 1985 Miami Vice episode titled The Prodigal Son. The second season of the show began with that episode, which also provided Simmons with an opportunity to attempt something new. Years later, he appeared in a Venice, California bookstore as a psychic in the spoof show I Get That a Lot. Simmons, even as himself in the Long Road Home CSI crime scene investigation episode from 2014. He had previously landed more somber movie parts. He appeared in Michael Crichton's thriller Runaway, 1984, which starred Tom Selleck. He then made an appearance in Wanted, Dead or Alive in 1987, starring Rutger Hauer in an action film. Simmons returned to television and Third Watch in 2004. In the last episode of Season 5 and the first episode of Season 6, he portrayed Donald Mann, a mob boss. Gene, however, was more interested in producing than in acting. He founded his own film studio, Erebus Pictures, in 2015. Armed Response, a horror thriller, was their debut feature. Became a judge on Yashiki Superstar Project X, a Japanese talent show hosted by the well-known Japanese musician Yashiki and shown on Hulu Japan in 2022. In September 2023, Gene was even selected to present Yashiki at his handprint ceremony at the TCL Chinese Theater. Then a significant announcement was made in May 2023. Simmons founded Simmons Hamilton Productions, a new production firm, in collaboration with Gary Hamilton of ArcLight Films. Their objective? To produce 25 films in 5 years. These would be franchise, action, and thriller movies. Simmons and a few others were to produce the first film, Deepwater, which was to be directed by Rennie Harlin. However, despite Gene's success on television, he continued to be embroiled in controversy off-screen due to his words and deeds. The quotations that are repeated. The fact that Gene Simmons persisted in trying Kiss is among his most well-known tales. Their initial management fired them in 1973 after calling their music the worst shit he had ever heard. After that, Simmons took over as their manager, went from earning $50 every night to selling more than 100 million albums. However, despite this accomplishment, Simmons continued to be direct, and perhaps excessively so. He has stunned followers with a number of his statements throughout the years. They were even offensive to some. Nick Simmons, his own son, once claimed in Vice that his father was a complete moron. Coming from your own child is a powerful statement. Nonetheless, some admirers claim that part of what makes Gene entertaining to watch is his large ego and witty remarks. This is someone who battled his way to the top, after all. He overcame negative reviews, rejected record labels, and seen numerous friends succumb to alcoholism or drug abuse. He continued, "Some find that to be a sign of strength, while others find it difficult to disregard his words." Furthermore, Simmons never slows down. He made headlines once more in 2017 for something that truly baffled folks: the error of the devil horn. The devil horn's hand motion is familiar to all fans of rock music. Although it is a genre icon, Gene Simmons attempted to claim it as his own. He submitted applications to trademark the hand symbol in 2017. He said that on a 1974 trip, he was the first to use it. Because of the trademark, other artists, including Avril Lavigne, Katy Perry, and Justin Bieber, may have to compensate him if they utilize the sign in their performances or photos. However, supporters soon noted that he wasn't the first to make the gesture. John Lennon created a hand sign akin to this on the cover of a Beatles album in 1966. It made another appearance on a Coven record in 1969. Gene was ridiculed online by many who found his assertion absurd. Later, Simmons remarked, "I regret nothing," but he canceled the request. "Wake up every morning and follow your conscience," he urged. Simmons once again defended his behavior in the face of criticism. However, that was hardly the only instance in which his remarks caused unease. One of the most talked about incidents was a radio interview that took a sharp turn for the worst. The overly heated interview. Gene Simmons made an appearance on Terry Gross's NPR program Fresh Air in 2002. The interview got off to a rough start. Gross's pronunciation of his name annoyed Gene, who accused her of using her Gentile mouth, despite Gross's Jewish heritage. However, when the subject of Gene's well-known stage attire came up, things became worse. Gross inquired about his metal codpiece. "It holds in my manhood," Simmons said. "Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to handle it." He went on to say, "I'm afraid you're going to have to welcome me with open legs if you want to welcome me with open arms." Gross gasped. "It was a terribly annoying thing to say," she told him. Simmons retaliated, stating that women prefer it when guys speak honestly and truthfully. Questioned whether his actions were merely a ploy or something he did for show. Simmons argued that it wasn't. He objected to the interview being posted online by NPR. But subsequently, it was published as a book, and in 2007, some of it was broadcast once more. Years later, Simmons expressed his displeasure with Gross's pious behavior. Simmons encountered additional criticism in the same year. This time, it's for his opinions on music sharing rather than his words. Gene Simmons has strong views about music piracy in contrast to the internet. He advocated for legal action against anyone who downloaded music illegally in 2007 and spoke out against file sharing. He went even farther the following year, threatening to stop putting out new music if people continued to steal it from the internet. An organization infamous for its online attacks, Anonymous, took notice of his remarks. In response, they launched a cyber attack against his website, causing it to go down. After Simmons returned to the internet and posted even more scathing remarks, Anonymous struck once more, bringing down the website for the second time. Simmons made yet another audacious claim in 2014. Rock's death was not a natural death, he claimed. Old age did not kill rock. It was killed. He said that people no longer appreciated music enough to pay for it, and that file sharing was the reason why rock music died out. Fans and musicians continued to argue over these remarks. Simmons was at the center of controversy once more, and he didn't back down as usual when the lines were crossed by words. Although Gene Simmons has always spoken boldly, there have been instances when his remarks have been excessive. During an interview with Songfacts.com in 2016, one of the most unsettling incidents occurred. A question concerning depression was posed to Simmons. He made fun of others who were dealing with mental health issues rather than demonstrating any concern or empathy. "I'm depressed," he remarked, referring to young people. For a puts 20-year-old kid to say. "Seattle is where I call home. End your life after screwing you." He continued after that. "I always call them on their bluff," he continued. "When a guy is atop a skyscraper, I'm the one who says, jump. People like that should shut up, have some dignity, and jump," he told the interviewer. Radio stations and fans were taken aback by these remarks. Power 97 and Triple M both declared that they will no longer perform Kiss songs as a result. Simmons issued an apology following the outcry, but the harm had already been done. It wasn't the first or last time he spoke in this manner, and the hurt his remarks caused wasn't ignored. He was also criticized for remarks he made regarding the passing of another music icon. When grieving became offensive, the world was in mourning at Prince's passing in 2016. The fans were devastated. Gene Simmons, however, had a different opinion. He lauded Prince's talent in an interview with Newsweek, adding, "I thought he left Michael Jackson in the dust. Prince was much more than that." He then said something that left everyone in awe. "How pitiful that he killed himself," he murmured. "He did that. Don't fool yourself. I'll give you that it's happening slowly, but that's what drugs and alcohol are." People were furious. Many thought his remarks were harsh and judgmental. Paul Stanley, his Kiss bandmate, was unable to remain silent. Embarrassed by icy, ignorant remarks about Prince's passing without all the facts, Paul decided to keep quiet on Twitter. "I'm sorry." This instance demonstrated how out of touch Gene's remarks might be, even during grieving. Simmons also held other strong views when it came to talking about musicians, ones that provoked further criticism. His opinions about women and musicians. Gene Simmons has frequently associated desire with music. He contends that ladies, not a passion for music, are the true reason why musicians achieve fame. According to him, every musician's dream is to sleep with women. Many people are excluded by this viewpoint. This belief excludes gay males, straight women, and anyone who isn't after women. However, there is no one type of individual that music is about. Talent has nothing to do with, as demonstrated by performers like as Melissa Etheridge, Freddie Mercury, and Elton John. Simmons continues to support his beliefs. He has been criticized by female reporters. Is his image, makeup, blood, boots, and fire just a show to cover up who he really is? Terry Gross and Lisa Robinson asked. Simmons responded that it's no different from women wearing makeup, but it didn't stop there. Simmons has boasted about how many partners he has. In several interviews, he stated that he had slept with 4,600 women, 4,800, and even 4,897 on his Gene Simmons Family Jewels reality show. He responded, "It's a good guess, but a lot of them didn't get a lot of sleep," when asked to confirm. He advised young men to tell ladies, "I think you're attractive, and I think your mommy and sister are too." "You're in, baby," he replied, "if a woman can handle that." Simmons went so far as to sell condoms bearing his cartoon visage and protruding tongue under the Kiss trademark, elevating his persona beyond only music. However, it wasn't simply ladies or Gene Simmons casually said. In addition, he made strong, derogatory remarks towards music singers and piracy, company that committed the crime. Although Gene Simmons has disparaged numerous musicians, one remark regarding pop sensation Rihanna caught our attention. He claimed to be fed up with ladies lip-syncing and performing with backing dancers. The Rihanna, Shimmy Anna, and everyone else who finishes their name with Anna should be left alone, he argued, calling it false bullcrap. Despite criticism from fans that the remarks were unjust and misogynistic, Simmons persisted. He used to charge $3.99 for bags of air bearing the Kiss brand. Nothing but empty bags, literally. However, the band made millions when thousands of fans purchased them. Simmons had the ability to sell anything, whether he was trolling or engaging in astute business. Simmons, on the other hand, adopted a different approach in regards to unauthorized downloading. He responded angrily after the group Anonymous hacked his website. He alerted hackers to the involvement of the FBI and his legal team. He said on social media that they had already found a few young, daring individuals. He threatened to punish them, stating that they might wind up in jail next to someone who has been there for years and is trying to find a new partner. "We'll find you," he added, adding that he would publish their names and pictures. You can't hide. The already intense conflict between Simmons and the hackers gained greater attention as a result of this severe tone. Not to mention his rage on national radio and his unsuccessful attempt to trademark the devil horns hand signal. Simmons kept coming up with fresh methods to cause trouble, and he never appeared to regret any of it, no matter how crazy things got. From assaulting a culture to disparaging artists, Gene Simmons has always held strong views, particularly on music, but occasionally his remarks go beyond criticism. He once blasted Guns N' Roses and accused Axl Rose of being the reason behind their demise. According to Simmons, Axl Rose is the reason why Guns N' Roses aren't the greatest band in the world, even if they could be. He even claimed that a good beating would have helped and blamed Axl for his drug and alcohol problems. Given that other members of the band also struggled with substance abuse, many thought Simmons was being unforgiving. His tirade regarding Islam followed. In an Australian radio broadcast, Simmons referred to Islam as a vile culture. According to him, women in Muslim nations receive worse treatment than dogs. They couldn't own houses or walk with males, he said. Your dog can walk side by side, he added. Your dog can go to school. That's hardly an advantage for any of the women. Muslim leaders like Yasser Solomon and Susan Carland criticized his remarks. They claimed that his opinions were damaging and incorrect, subsequently made an effort to clarify that he was referring to extremists rather than all Muslims. However, a lot of people thought the harm was already done. Many people were harmed by his remarks, which were broadcast to a large audience. From rap and pop tirades to legal issues, George and Walsh Ward, Gene Simmons' ex-girlfriend, filed a lawsuit against him in 2005. She said that when Kiss conquered the world during VH1, he made her appear like an addicted nymphomaniac. Simmons didn't slow down even after the matter was quietly settled out of court without any money being exchanged. He attacked rap music in 2016. Rap will eventually die next year, 10 years from now, he stated in an interview with Rolling Stone. I'm looking forward to the day when music returns to melody and lyrics, he said. I don't have the cultural background to appreciate being a gangster, Simmons continued, and asserted that the essence of rap was gangster life. His remarks were perceived by many as racist and as demonstrating a lack of knowledge about the genre's history and culture. After Madonna's 2012 Super Bowl performance, Simmons also made fun of her. I adore every karaoke performer. I adore all the female vocalists who come up and perform while using tapes. You are a disgrace, he said. Despite calling Madonna fantastic, he continued to make fun of her use of background music. When a private video of Simmons and his longtime partner Shannon Tweed was leaked, Simmons was also embroiled in a personal crisis. Without his awareness, an intimate moment was captured on camera. Simmons promptly purchased the video's rights and threatened the website that had it with legal action. According to his attorneys, Kiss face paint was used in the video without his consent. In this instance, Simmons shut it off right away to protect himself. When television programs become awkward, Gene Simmons was a guest judge on Dancing with the Stars during Hair Metal Night in October 2024, but fans weren't pleased with his appearance. His remarks infuriated spectators from the beginning. Simmons stated that he was unable to determine which of NFL player Danny Amendola and Whitney Carson was more attractive. The other judges gave them 7s, but he gave them a 9. According to viewers, Carson appeared uneasy. One person posted on social media, I'm already over Gene Simmons being a creep, but it's only the first dance. Simmons' remarks against the female dancers persisted. Actor Reginald Johnson was informed by him that Emma Slater, his partner, is skilled at moving it. She fogged up my glasses, he said to the actress Chandler Kinney, who described her face as gorgeous. Later, Chandler's dance partner replied, Hold on a minute. I have 2 younger sisters. I heard it. Wait, I told them. Angry viewers demanded that ABC issue an apology. Many questioned why Simmons wasn't told to stop by the producers. Additionally, others saw that his comments and ratings didn't align. Dances that he had commended received low ratings from him. particularly when he didn't think the female dancer was attractive. As one user noted, a woman receives a bad score if Gene doesn't find her attractive. Model Brooks Nader had already locked in a 9, so Simmons' attempt to award him a 10 didn't count. When it was announced that Simmons would not be returning the next week, many fans were relieved. More ludicrous views about power and women. Although Gene Simmons has always been candid about his opinions on women, some of them have startled followers. He made a number of controversial remarks while promoting his book about power. He claimed that women may exploit their appearance to get power in a 2017 interview with the New York Post. They can dress like potatoes, he continued, but they will receive a reaction as soon as they look presentable. Jackasses have been added. For that reason, we will purchase homes and mansions for them. Additionally, Simmons asserted that women could not have a family and a career. He said, "Get over your biological urges. Although wanting children is normal, you can't have it both ways." Many people were incensed by these remarks. They believed he was advocating for women to choose between being mothers and working, and that their appearance was the primary source of their strength. Although Simmons has said many controversial things over the years, his remarks struck a chord with fans who thought they were insulting and out of date. However, Simmons hasn't expressed much remorse for the majority of his statements. He has frequently stated that, whether people like it or not, he speaks the truth. However, as time passes, more and more people are criticizing him, particularly when his remarks become insulting rather than daring. What are your thoughts? Has Gene Simmons gone too far at last? Or is he simply being as brutally honest as usual? Leave a comment below with your opinions. Remember to hit like, subscribe, and follow for more amazing tales from the intriguing history of Hollywood. I'll see you later.